Welcome to another episode of Pixelvalve. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. It's just an update on what I'm doing really. I just happen to be working on the Helios lens again. Now, if you can remember back to the previous episodes where I said that the Helios lens was ready and available in a few weeks, well, I think that's probably about a year ago. Now, I wasn't really far from it because the Helios lens, this lens, was actually ready. It is actually ready. I mean, it works, it connects to the camera, you know, and it produces a nice image. It's just that I thought I could do better. I think overall, when I used this lens, and I used it extensively because I have to test all these things out before I make them available to you guys and girls. So while I was testing this out, I noticed that the feel, the quality didn't really impress me. I mean, it worked, it did the job. And I think as a prototype, yeah, fantastic. I mean, it works. But I think it really needed to be refined. It needed some refinements before I could release it. You see, it's made in 3 parts, this Helios 44-2 adapter. 3 parts. And that's not many parts. I mean, it's easy to assemble and it's okay, but it looks ugly and it looks clunky. It doesn't look very well made. Now, on the camera, connecting this to the camera, it sometimes caught the locking pin, and sometimes it didn't. So you'd have to fiddle with it. But it wasn't a lot, you know, it was just like a little fiddle and then you'd hear the click. And I wasn't really keen on that. It didn't feel like quality to myself. I felt like it needed a bit more refinement. So they are really minor things that have been addressed. And that's where this lens comes in. This is the Helios 44-2, but my new Helios 44-2. It's actually an older lens than the one I had. As you can see, it's silver, but that makes no difference because really what we're interested in is this part here, the Pixelvalve adapter. Now, again, it's 3 parts and it's very simple to assemble. But instead of having those horrible bolted screws on top, either side, on the outside, we have them facing the back here. So it looks a little bit more presentable. Now this is just a prototype. It needs a little bit more work, but it's pretty much there. And this is going to be the version that finally makes it to the sale page, if you like. Because I haven't just been working on this, I've also been working on a website. Now, that was something else completely. I mean, I have had websites in the past, I have made websites in the past, but since that time and now, a lot has changed. I think I was absolutely mortified by the amount of lies and cheating going on. Now, when you search for web space, for example, every single one of them, to start with on a Google search, is some kind of advert, paid promotion. So when you're going through the list, I must have taken months to really look into this. And I've got something now, and I'm slowly building a website where you can actually have these made and sent out to you. The details will become available as and when that happens, but at the moment, that's what I'm working on. So I haven't completely forgotten about this. And I'm also slowly developing these things in the sidelines too. So they are still being worked on. Don't worry. That's what I'm basically trying to say. Now, back to the lens. Let's have a closer look. So, this is the new Helios lens. No, actually, let me start with the other one. So, This is the Helios lens that you remember, the one I was developing and the one that I was going to release. Now the thing with this lens is that it's working, it works, it actually does everything that it's claimed. It's an okay lens. I mean, it's not the best actual vintage lens that I could find. It's not a brilliant example of a Helios lens. It's a little bit scratched. It's okay though. It's not terrible. The adapter works. Now the adapter should fit any Helios 42 lens. It's very basic. I would say it's part of the development process. So it's still a prototype as such. But it was ready. I mean, I could have made it available, but I didn't, because I knew that I could make something better than that. You see, that works as a prototype, and I really enjoyed taking shots of this. I really enjoyed testing this lens out. I really enjoyed working with it. I probably enjoyed testing it more than any other lens, really. I mean, it's a fun lens to have. That's probably why it's taken such a long time to get this back to you. Now, by looking at it, you can see that I'm using these M2 bolts here, and it looks very clunky. It doesn't look very, very refined. It looks a little bit unsightly. I mean, if you can live with that, and you probably could, because after all, it's the image quality and the fun of using one of these that's more important than what it looks like. I'm sure a lot of you could actually work past that. But myself, I felt that it just wasn't ready. Just wasn't ready. And that's why I got myself another Helios lens, and I developed a new part. So this is the refined Helios lens. It's actually a very nice Helios lens, this. There's no scratches as such on it. The glass is clear. It's a very clean little lens, and you can see it's silver. It's not the very early ones. I think this one is from 71, and my other one is from 73. So even though this is older, it's in nicer condition. The Helios adapter, though, the Pixelvalve adapter, has changed a lot. As you can see, it's a lot more refined. It's smoother. It doesn't have the horrible bolts there. We've got less gap between the focusing ring and the back plate, making it a little bit seamless. We have a lip around the outside here, which nicely holds that Helios in place, along with the bayonet. Now there's a few things missing. The Pixelvalve logo and the location positioner isn't there. But it works, and it works really well. It's a really, really nice design, and I'm going to use this design as the one that goes forward. So you're going to get a much better design. And I think the weight, best things come to those who wait. And I think really, you're going to really benefit from this. Now, it does much the same thing as the older lens. It does exactly the same thing as that. It just looks better, and I think it's actually easier to assemble. Again, it is 3 parts. It is 3 parts, the same as the other one, but it's just easier, I think. Instead of having the screw bolts on the top, what we've got is the screw bolts where you'd expect the screws to be. Now, I'm doing this one-handed, but you'll get the idea. So you've got 3 screws there. If I can tap out the back piece, you have that. Then you have this piece, and instead of placing it, you'd sort of bayonet it in place. And that's what it is. So 3 parts, then the throat. So the hardest part to doing this, really, to installing this new Helios lens, is pretty much the same as that one. It's to do with the screws. And you can see the screws here and here. Now inside there's also 3 screws. And the thing with these screws, is that they are absolutely minute. I think they're about 2 millimeters in length, and the inside one's a little bit smaller. So you need absolutely brilliant vision to be able to do this. And those screws, being that small, of course, they are really, really fragile. So they are prone to breaking. Luckily, there is a guy on eBay that actually sells these screws, and I'll probably put the link in the description. And if I don't, you should remind me in the comments, ask for that, and I'll update it. But that's how easy it is to install this adapter. So you basically unscrew it, put this back in, discard the old one, or keep it to the side, whichever you're going to do. You would look for the line on there, which is only pencil at the moment, but, you know, it'll do. And then we kind of line it up to about there, twist the bayonet along there, and then do the same with this. Find the line it up, and push it in, if that's the line, because I've got several lines on there, haven't I? And my glasses just won't stay up for some reason. So in we go, in we go. Will it go? Why won't it go? What's going on there? There we are. So that works like that. And then put the screws back in. But of course, I've missed something. I have missed something. Now these screws screw into something, don't they? And that's what I want to show you. Oh, why is it not coming out when I want it to? Probably because I'm one-handed. So, bayonet comes out. Now, this is going to be quite tricky. Can you see in there? Can you see that thing there, that little black thing? This here? That's actually a nut. So, these are M2 bolts, and I think they're 6 millimeters in length. Now, each screw, chamfered screw, has a nut, and that little nut slides into there. You can see that it slides into here, slides into there on that side. There's 3 of them. Now, it's very thin and very tight. You just slide them in there, and there's no glue. They just sit in position. You may be able to see it. I don't know if you can. You may be able to see that sitting in there. And that's all there is to it. So you just slide the screw in, and you would reassemble this. Reassemble it in, you know, the same way that you'd expect. Then you put the screws in, and they would. It's really hard with gloves actually doing this, but you get the idea, don't you? You get the idea. So it's going to be like that. It's going to be very much like that. It's not difficult to do. Oh, look, one of my nuts has fallen out. And you can see that's it there. And that's actually great, because I can now show you what I mean. If that falls out nicely for me, and easily, which it might do, it just might do. There we go. So we've lost a screw, lost a nut, but where is it? Is it there? It is there. Right. How am I going to do this one-handed? That's the interesting thing, isn't it? Let me see. So if I can position that there, maybe, and then pick the nut up. It's actually really easy to do. Well, it's easy when you're not wearing gloves and when you're not. I think I will leave that and do it after, but you get the idea, don't you? That you put the nut into that little thing. Anyway, that's the Helios, the new Helios 44-2, and that's how it's designed, and that's how it's being made. You're going to be able to get these from the website, from the Pixelvalve website. You're going to be able to not download them, you're going to be able to order them, and what you're going to get is something like this, which is either a grey part or a black part. But this is 3D printed, believe it or not. It's 3D printed by a professional manufacturer. So it comes directly from the factory. It's coming from a place called Shapeways, which is quite a famous 3D printing company. They basically manufacture on demand. So the idea that I've got is to put all of these things onto the website. You will then buy it now. It will let you fill out your details, your address details, and the manufacturer will actually produce one for you and send this directly to you. And in some ways, it can be better because it's definitely of better quality than what I can produce. But it's going to be also probably quicker, because the way this print-on-demand service works is that the items are usually printed in your sort of local area, in your country. So you're going to avoid customs charges, you're going to avoid long delays, and it's going to be local to you. So the 3D prints are going to be within your country. And that will save some money, it will save a little bit of time. Now, I do think that they're slightly on the pricey side, considering that I was selling these things for about £20. Now, they still cost about the same. This particular part that I got was from the UK, from a different 3D printing manufacturer, and it cost me £20 just for the parts alone, because it is just a prototype, and in the winter I can't use my printer, my resin printer, for prototyping. But the quality that these are made in is just phenomenal. Now, it's a kind of matte textured finish. Now, that's a bit dirty because I've been messing with it, but if you can have a look at that. The black ones are just as nice. It's hard to see, really, isn't it? Although they look really textured, they're not that textured. I mean, the detail is really fantastic, and the dimensional accuracy is just absolutely superb compared to my resin printing. So you're really going to benefit from these, and they are fantastic. If you want a Helios 44-2 on your Nikon, then this is still going to be a cheaper, more viable option than buying a new separate system. So it will basically enable you to have magic powers, because, the Helios, what is it if not a magic power lens? For that swirly bokeh, the beautiful character of the lens, and, it's actually very, very sharp. Compared to a lot of lenses, it's surprisingly sharp. Now, some of them, of course, some of them are not made as good as others. This one is a lot better than this one, even though this one's older. This one is quite scratched, but even with a bit of post-processing, it does actually, improve the lens quite a lot. Now, I did a comparison video with Carl Zeiss lenses not so long ago, and the Helios, just out of interest, I took the same shot to compare, and it resolves a lot of the detail that the other lenses couldn't do. So it's a very sharp lens, really. Very surprising. Now, there are millions of these lenses, and they're quite cheap. I mean, something like this could be around about £60, perhaps about $40 to $50 maybe at the bottom end. And at the very high end, you're looking at probably $100. So they're not super expensive. They're easy to get, but the real trick with these Helios lenses is to find one that's in really good condition, because a lot of them are really, really rough. This one, I didn't really care about the quality when I bought this. I just wanted a Helios lens to be able to make these adapters for. Now, the lens isn't brilliant, but saying that, it's not that bad either. And on the other side of that, sometimes the scratch marks and the imperfections can add to the character. It is a unique lens in this condition, and it produces an okay image. I would say it just depends what you're looking for. They are going to be unique. Each one of these pretty much unique, because they're so old. Now, I can't tell you exactly when this is going to be available, because I've got to make a website. Now, You know, I get questions all the time. When's the Helios available? Have you got a lens for this or an adapter for that? Or now the thing is, I'm not working on these full time. It's a part-time thing. But by having them on the website, I'm going to be able to offer them to you anytime, all the time. They're going to be 3D printed on demand. So it's going to be better than allowing them to be downloaded for free, because if I were to put this on the internet, download for free like on Thingiverse, it's still something that people can't access, you know, because a lot of people just don't have 3D printers. And then if they did have a 3D printer, it's a really difficult thing to print, because they tend not to print very accurately on the home printers, the resin printers or the other filament printers. It's actually not something that's easy to print. These are actually printed using a system called multi-jet fusion, which is basically like a tray of powder, and these things are printed with a similar technology to the laser jet printer that you have at home for printing documents and paper. So it slowly builds up the layers, and the powder around it, which is what becomes this plastic, actually works in a kind of way similar to support structures. So it tends not to be such an issue with this multi-jet fusion to have support. It prints very nicely. Now the thing with the resin printer is that it kind of has to peel each layer off the print bed, and by doing that it distorts the shape of the part that you're making. So that's what the difficulty with my printer is, but they still produce nice quality, probably nicer quality actually, because look at this. This is the quality that I'm getting with my 3D resin printer. I mean, it looks, you can't really see the layer lines on there. It looks quite nice, but dimensionally accurate, I'm not sure. You're probably going to find that this circle isn't quite round. It's not so important in a lot of ways, as long as it's roughly the right place. The other problem with this, of course, is that it needs to be accurate. The flange distance needs to be accurate. Otherwise, you're not going to get perfect infinity focus. This, on the other hand, is quite good, because the infinity focus on these so far have been brilliant. I've had a few of them. Not Helios lenses, but Tessars and things like that, just to test the print quality out, because usually with manufacturing you have to inspect the first off. It's called a first off, and that's where you basically need to examine it, test it, and approve it. And that's what I've done with some of these. So just to let you know, that's what I'm doing, and that's where we're up to, and that's what's happening. Now, the website is probably going to take a little bit of time to do, and while I'm doing that, I'll be developing these. I may make a few available for eBay or something like that, and that'll be probably coming up when it gets to be a bit warmer. And when that happens, you know, you keep looking at the YouTube for updates, keep checking the eBay page for any sort of extras. Now, I've got a few things on my eBay page at the moment. So I've got a few lens adapters, and I've got a few lenses. Now, the lenses that I'm selling, they're training lenses, the ones that I've bought to develop these things. They're usually in sort of random conditions. Some are brilliant, some are not so brilliant. I've sold a Tessar, which was in nice condition. It was serviced by myself, you know, it was all working. And it comes with the adapter, and it would come with the original M42 lens mount. So it's totally reversible. Now these things, because they're prototypes, I'm not really planning on making them all the time. And I'm not going to manufacture them myself. So they're available now, but they're not always going to be available from eBay. Like I said, they're going to move to the website, which is, of course, pixelvalve.com. You may find that written on some of these lenses, pixelvalve.com. Now, there's nothing there at the moment, but it's only a matter of time before you'll be able to find something there. Yeah, so if you like the video, if you found it interesting, if you approve, or if you want one of these things, show some interest, write a comment. If you have any specific lenses that you're interested in having an adapter like this for, then just leave a comment in the description, in the comment section, so that I can look at it. And because I don't have a massive amount of interest for these particular things, because obviously I do other things apart from lenses, but it's a very niche-y thing, then I should be able to get back to each and every one of you. So I will try, and I usually do. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.